Hi there, Prairie Plant Girl here. So today I'm going to be potting up these dahlias. These are a new dahlia for me. They're the cafe au lait dahlias that you hear so much about. And I saw them in the store the other day and I'm excited to see them in my yard. I've been growing the same yellow dahlias for years now, and I have a couple of other varieties, patches, and I can't remember the other one. My yellow ones unfortunately did not make it through the winter. I had tried to use some cedar shavings to store them this year, and I think I just wasn't able to keep them damp enough. I think I have a couple of the other ones I had stored in pots that look like they're going to be okay. So I'll put a few little clips in here so you can kind of see how those were stored. The ones that are in pots, I've just brought out of cold storage, and I'll put somewhere warmer and start giving a little bit of water, and as they grow then I'll put them into some light so they're getting some light. But for now I need to get these tubers planted up here so that they'll be blooming for me this summer. It's cold in my climate here, so I'll be planting them, and I'm outside right now. I'll be planting them into small pots, but they're going to be going back in the house where it's warmer, because we're still getting down below freezing at night most nights now, or right around that freezing point. So the reason I do this is just so that they'll bloom sooner for me. It usually is about 8 to 12 weeks for a dahlia to go from planting to blooming. So if I plant them now, it's the beginning of April, then I should have blooms, in 2 to 3 months when I'm ready to putting them outside. We have a short season of outdoor time here, so I want to be able to get as many blooms as I can while that's happening. So let me show you what I do to get these planted up. Okay, so this isn't a very difficult process to do. I am going to put some gloves on because I have here a nice bucket. It has a mix of the peat moss and perlite mix that if you've seen my other videos, you've seen me starting a lot of seeds in. And then I have some good nutritious organic potting mix in here. So it's about a 1-to-1 ratio of the two, and that will just help to keep the tubers moist. And when I go to pot them up later into larger pots, it'll be a similar potting mix that they go into, so it won't be a big change in medium. Otherwise you might have a lot of that peat moss if I just use that sitting there. And the peat moss will help keep it a little bit loftier. And then I have some bone meal, and I'll be just adding that into each pot as I plant. I grabbed some snips just in case there's anything on these packaged bulbs that needs to come off, but I don't anticipate that. And then I just have these pots. These I think are rose pots, so you don't need something quite this deep. But sometimes the tubers can be kind of long and you want them kind of put down over a pyramid of soil sometimes, just depending on how they're growing or how they're formed. So sometimes a little bit taller pot can work, but you don't need one quite this tall. You usually need a pretty good size. I haven't opened this bag yet, so I'm not sure what these look like. I just bought these at the box store, so you're never really sure what you're getting out of that. I do have more ordered from an actual plant supplier, but they won't get shipped in my area here. I won't get those until probably the end of May, maybe even later, especially this year with shipping. It'll just be nice to get these started a little bit earlier. Those ones that I get later in the season might not bloom as early for me, but then I can store them over the winter and have them for years to come. So this is what these look like when they come out of the bag. You can see they're firm. This one's a nice size, these skinnier ones, and different types of dahlias will be like more elongated. Some will be kind of more round on these parts. So it just depends on the variety of dahlia that you have for what they're going to look like. I can see this one here has already begun to sprout, and that's okay, but that's why we're going to get them planted up. They've been sitting in my garage trying to keep cool and out of the light. but they do need to get potted up. And this one's a very nice size with lots of tubers coming off of it. So there should be 5 in this package. I'm sure there is, but let's get started here. So what I'm going to do is just put some soil in, and you can see it best probably with this one, how these pieces come out from the center here, and you kind of wind up with this open part in the middle that these are going to go around. So it can kind of help to just kind of pile your soil up so it's a little bit higher in the center of your pot, and have the rest of the tuber go down around it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just forming it with my hand. I don't know the shadows if you'll be able to see that, but I'm just trying to make it a little bit higher in the center. And then I'll just take this, try and get all the bits. You could cut all these little, in fact, I think I'm going to take some of these off just to get them out of my way. These are just old roots, and they'll do nothing to help the plant grow right now, and they're just kind of in my way when I'm trying to plant it. So you don't have to take them off, but I just find it easier to kind of see what I'm doing. To get rid of some of these. Just helps them to fit in the pot and not be in my way. So I'm just going to take and spread those out. So I'm spreading them out like that and setting them so they'll point down into the pot, but that makes room for the soil to reach up underneath there. And I am going to need the taller pot for these. It's pretty deep. So I can get these roots out of my way. So now I'm just going to fill in with soil, and I'm going to try and kind of reach underneath and make sure that I have soil underneath and in all the little holes and nooks and crannies there, so that there's, oh, I forgot to put bone meal in here. Let's do that. Pull this back out. So I'm going to put a little bit of bone meal in. That'll just add some nutrition and help with root development as they get going here. So get that little lump in the center of the pot. Just set my tuber on. I'll spread it out. I'll still want these parts coming down, but I want them spread out so that they're not sitting on top, that raised portion. And that gets soil up right in to all the areas that I can. So there it is. And I'm just going to try and pack the soil down a little bit. I don't need it tight, but I don't want air pockets. I'm just trying to fill in everywhere. Now there's sprouts on this one, so I'm going to be careful not to break them off. So I'm just banging on the pot to work that soil down into all those open spaces. And hopefully you can see there how much the soil kind of settled down in there, and then I'll just top it a little bit more. Now, if you had a larger pot, and with some of these smaller ones I'll be able to do this probably, is just fill just to the top of your tuber, and then as you see shoots just come up, you can fill up and up and up, and that'll just give more support to the stems and make a little bit stronger plant. So again, I'm just making sure I have the air gaps all filled here and top that off. So let's see a little bit smaller tuber get planted here. So again, we'll put the soil in, mix a little bit of bone meal into it. And I want to just make a raised portion down in the center there, and I really, with the shadows, I don't know how well you see that, but little raised portion, and I'll take this. See, this one doesn't have so many roots in that in my way, so I'll just take it like that. I'm just pushing these tubers kind of off to the side so that this is where the raised portion of soil is going, because you can see it's kind of dented in there. And I'll work it down. Need a bit more soil in there. So I just want to get that center part supported with soil and the rest going down around the sides. And then I can continue to fill in, work that soil down. Filling all those air gaps and just keep filling it up. So there's another one done. Let's see what else we have in here. Oof. When you're going through your tubers, you want to be looking to see if there's any rot or broken parts that might need to heal or callus over before you plant them. If there's just a very fine bit of like a blue mold or something that's not making a soft spot, then it's probably fine to plant. But if there's anything that's like soft or mushy, then you want to cut that off, and that's where your snips or secateurs would come in. These are looking good. I've got another one that has a little bit of a sprout happening right in there. I don't know how well you can see it, but just gonna, whew, it is windy out here today. So there was a couple, let's see if I can find them. Here they are. A couple of small pieces that were in the bag. They probably broke off. You can see how fine these attachment points are. So they probably broke off of the other part. It looks like the manufacturer had snipped this here and it has healed and cleaned up. But it looks like they have little eyes coming out of them. They're pretty small, so I will likely just take these and put them in, like this is a smaller one, and I'll put these in together in one pot. You could grow them by themselves, but they might not produce flowers for you, so you just don't know. But it does look like there's some very small bumps. I don't know if those are roots. I'm trying to look. I think that's the root end, so let's see. Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't see any eyes starting to form off of this end here or this one, so it's hard to know. Like, unless you see definite eyes coming off of them, it's hard to know if they'll even produce anything for you. But I like to throw them in with a smaller one, and then they have a chance. So I'm just going to pot these last 3 pots up here, and then they'll be done. Sometimes when you get them out of the package and they're looking like this, it can be kind of, you're not sure which way to put them. And this one, because it has that little sprout, is easier for me to tell. But what I usually look for, if I'm not sure, is there's usually a piece of a stem that's been cut off. and sticking up at the top. Because sometimes with all these little root pieces and things, it can be hard to tell what you're looking at. So just if you're not sure, look for this little stem, or kind of plant it sideways if you can tell that, because they usually come out in a radial pattern. This little piece came off. It's pretty small, probably won't amount to anything, but I'm just going to stick it down the side there. But you can see how a taller pot helps, because I need the soil to come up in there like that and let these come down the sides. So that's the benefit of using a little bit taller pot if you have one. So there I have my five cafe au lait dahlias all planted up and ready. Like I said, it's pretty cold out here today, so they'll be going inside, and that's where they'll be staying until there's all risk of frost has passed, which for me will be close to the end of May, middle of May, end of May. So we've got a few months of having these inside. I'm going to find a nice warm spot to put them. Once they start showing signs of sprouting, then I'll make sure they're getting lots of strong light, and I'll just be keeping the soil moist until they are growing and having lots of growth showing. They'll just need just to be damp, not getting thoroughly watered, just so they know there's some moisture around. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.